Hello, BookTube. I've got mail for you. It's a normal size stack of mail that I thought we'd go through together, but it's got an odd conclusion. There's a package, a mystery package at the end, and I don't mean mystery as in Anne Perry or Elizabeth George. I mean, there's a package at the end that doesn't seem like a book. I don't know what it could be, so we'll save that for last, and we'll just go through the normal stuff first, and I guess we'll build the suspense that way. So what have we got here to start with? Oh, fantastic. Oh, great. Okay, we're off to a fine start. This is the second book in the series. We saw the first book here. I love the first book. It's going to be old news to those of you in the UK. This is Bennett Brandreth, and this is The Assassin of Verona, a William Shakespeare novel set in Venice, 1586. William Shakespeare is disguised as a steward to the English ambassador. He and his actor friends, Oldcastle and Hemming, possess a deadly secret, the names of the Catholic spies in England who seek to destroy Queen Elizabeth. Before long, the Pope's agents begin to close in on them, so fleeing the city is the player's only option. In Verona, Amelia, the daughter of a duke, is struggling to conceal her passionate affair with her cousin Valentine, but darker times lie ahead with the arrival of the sinister Father Thornhill, who is determined to seek out anyone who does not conform to the Pope's ruthless agenda. And this comes out in early May. And, you know, from that description, and those of you who remember the first one will know, this is very standard stuff in terms of Shakespeare historical fiction, where Shakespeare has no genius whatsoever. None whatsoever. There's a standard gimmick in Shakespeare historical fiction is to, oddly enough, we're supposed to care about this character of Shakespeare. The reason that we would is because we are indebted to him forever, because we have loved his work. And yet, the Shakespeare that we meet in Shakespeare historical fiction is completely without writing ability. He can only know the things that are in his plays because he has literally seen them in real life. He can't make up anything. And the first one of these was very much of that spleen, and this one will be as well. In the course of The Assassins of Verona, every line from Romeo and Juliet, from Two Gentlemen of Verona, every single key line, every phrase, every single plot will happen in front of Shakespeare's eyes, and that we will be led to infer, encouraged to infer, that that's the only way that he could ever write about them. That's a little bit annoying. That gets a little bit annoying. But the alternative would be no Shakespeare historical fiction at all. It would be Shakespeare sitting in his garret working on his plays, which is how you get plays. And that's no good. So, but either way, the first one was a hoot. So I can't wait to read the second one. That's wonderful. All right, let's move on. We're off to a fine start here. Okay, all right. This is by Michael Stevens. Comes out in early January, so it's missed the mark already. It's from those brainy folks at Harvard University Press. It's called Thinking Off Your Feet: How Empirical Psychology Vindicates Armchair Philosophy. Many philosophers believe they can gain knowledge about the world from the comfort of their armchairs, simply by reflecting on the nature of things. But how can the mind arrive at substantive knowledge of the world without seeking its input? In this book, the author proposes an original defense of the armchair pursuit of philosophical knowledge, focusing on the method of cases in which judgments about category memberships, does this count as causation, does this count as the right action to take, are used to test philosophical hypotheses about such matters as causality, moral responsibility, and beauty. Okay, all right. Well, it's either read this or wait for the Jake Gyllenhaal movie. It's okay. All right, let's dust ourselves off and move on. A defense of armchair psychology. All right, let's see what's next here. Oh, great. Oh, fantastic. All right, I requested this. I think this is a very small publisher, maybe even self-published. But it looks really professional. This comes out in mid-May. It's by Eugene Linden, and it's called Deep Past. An array of bones discovered in the far steppes of Kazakh a mining operation comprised of a dangerous, unstable alliance between Russian, Canadian, and Kazakhstan interests, and a young woman scientist who is willing to risk her reputation to uncover a story 5 million years old. That's in this book, which Douglas Preston calls extraordinary on so many levels, challenges our ideas about intelligence, evolution, and the impact of climate change. Anthropologist Claire Knowland, Knowland, is happily leading a team of researchers studying elephants when her proposal for additional funding brings her into an unexpected bargain. The funder will give the funds only if Claire agrees to take over a pet project of his that is leaderless in the steppes of Kazakhstan. She agrees, knowing it might be a challenge. What she knows about the behavior of elephants is unlikely to help in the arid research camp. And they make a discovery which threatens to overturn long-held notions of the scientific world. But Claire's efforts to bring it to light run a gauntlet of entrenched views in the academic world, as well as geopolitical havoc in an already unstable region. Okay, all right, well, this comes out in early May. I requested it because it sounds interesting. I would be able to, I think I would be able to guess the nature of the things that is discovered in Kazakhstan. If that mention of entrenched academic interests is usually a dog whistle, it's usually a sign that in books like this, usually it's a sign that the Ark of the Covenant is discovered, or that angel bones are discovered. So the key here underneath the boilerplate of that plot description is usually that the evolution, that the theory of evolution is entirely wrong. That there's divine creation and divine causation in human history, and then you just have to dig far enough and you'll find it. And of course, the divine causation will never be Brahma. It will, but I don't know that, so I'll give this a try, and I won't wait too long either. I won't wait until the spring, because it, again, just a vibe. The vibe is that it might be entertaining. What have we got here? Oh, goodness gracious! Oh my. Okay. Okay. This is by Lawrence Goldstone, and it's called Assassin of Shadows, and it is, believe it or not, a novel about President McKinley. Just after 4 p.m. on September 6, 1901, 28-year-old anarchist Leon Klozos, or I've never understood how to say this guy's name, Czolgosz, pumps 2 shots into the chest and abdomen of President William McKinley. The would-be assassin, had been on the receiving line waiting to shake the president's hand, his revolver concealed in an oversized bandage covering his right hand and wrist. As he is apprehended, he says simply, "I done my duty." Both law enforcement and the press insist that he is merely the tip of a vast and murderous conspiracy, likely instigated by the high priestess of anarchy, Emma Goldman. To untangle its threads and bring the remaining conspirators to justice, the president's most senior advisors choose 2 Secret Service agents, Walter George and Harry Swain. What they uncover will not only absolve the anarchists, but also expose a plot that will threaten the foundations of American democracy and likely cost them their lives. Okay, Walter George and Harry Swain, senior men, the Secret Service under President McKinley. Okay, so someone is trying the dramatic expedient of telling a story about the Progressive Era through senior Secret Service agents. They were probably very boring people. I don't know what story they have to tell. All right, let's move on. A novel about President McKinley. Oh, well, not really. It doesn't sound like he's going to be in it for very long, which is kind of a shame. Let's see. Let's see what this next one is. Oh, goodness. Oh, my. Oh, my. Okay, this is right around the corner. I will read this tonight. This is by John Ward. It is Camelots End. Kennedy versus Carter and the fight that broke the Democratic Party. Oh, my. From a strange, dark chapter in American political history comes the captivating story of Ted Kennedy's 1980 campaign for president against the incumbent Jimmy Carter, told in full for the first time. John Ward's Camelots End is a tale of two extraordinary and deeply flawed men. Teddy Kennedy, one of the nation's greatest lawmakers, a man of flaws and of great character, and Jimmy Carter, a politically tenacious but frequently underestimated trailblazer. And the author, John Ward, interviews all sorts of people, everybody who's still alive. He turns his eye toward key moments leading up to and during the campaign with sweeping cinematic detail, including the 1980 election and how it created the generation of political operatives like Bill Clinton, Roy Cohn, Anita Dunn, John Trippi, Bob Shrum, and many others, all of whom were interviewed by the author. Wow, okay. The Chappaquiddick incident and its lasting impact on Kennedy's public image. Hunter S. Thompson hanging with Ted Kennedy, Jimmy Carter, and a bottle of wild turkey in 1976. And Jimmy Carter's failed attempt to assuage the feelings of malaise across the country during the gas shortage and the Iran hostage crisis. Okay. All right. Well, you know, we've talked about before, the duty of the pub sheet is to sell the book, not necessarily to dot the I's and cross the T's historically. This is not the first time the story has been told. But the author has done a ton of original work, probably consulted a ton of archives with fresh eyes, and also interviewed all of these people. That will make this invaluable to read. I will read this tonight. Okay. Great. I'm not sure that I'm going to be able to put off a historical novel about President Theodore Roosevelt and the Secret Service. I might read them both tonight. But that leaves us with the mystery package, which is this thing. It's huge. I have no idea what it could be. Yes, I would understand if it was this big, if it was obviously a kid's book, but it feels too thick to be a kid's book. Let's find out together what this is. Okay. What on earth? Okay. All right, this comes out on April 2nd. I would have thought from looking at it that it came out on April 1st, but no, this is The Adventures of Alexander von Humboldt. And some of you will be thinking, well, wasn't there just a couple of years ago a book on Alexander von Humboldt, The Invention of Nature, came out by Andrea Wolf. It was a terrific book, just terrific. Got praised everywhere, got reviewed everywhere, solely because of the joyously wonderful job that she did on the subject. It's still recondite. He was a famous man in his own day, but now his name is completely lost. And she brought it back and did such a great job that everybody loved the book. I loved it. And this is a book called The Adventures of Alexander von Humboldt by Andrea Wolf, but it's illustrated. It's illustrated by Lillian Melcher. It's an oversized, illustrated version of Helmholtz's Life and Times. How do you like that? This is going to be a huge... Who is this for? It's just going to be a huge illustrated version of the novel. Okay. All right. What have you... I love my job. What have you got to say for yourself? In her beloved best-selling book, The Invention of Nature, Andrea Wolf brought the visionary German naturalist and explorer Alexander von Humboldt to life. Largely forgotten when the book was published in 2015, Humboldt in his age was considered the most famous man in the world after Napoleon. Now, Wolf has partnered with artist Lillian Melcher to bring Humboldt's daring expedition to South America to life in lavish full color. Inspired by his diaries, plant specimens, engravings, sketches, and maps and drawings, Wolf tells the story from a completely new perspective and gives us an intimate portrait of the man who predicted human-induced climate change, fashioned poetic narrative out of scientific observation, and influenced iconic figures such as Simon Bolivar, Thomas Jefferson, Charles Darwin, and John Muir. Interwoven seamlessly with the text, Melcher's stunning illustrations bring to life this story of hardship, danger, and excitement. So, this is not a kid's version. This is the author going back to the story that she's already written the definitive book on in English, and telling it again in combination with artwork, with just extensive illustrations throughout. I have a hard time coming up with another example of that ever having been done. That is so strange. I mean, imagine if some 1970s political cartoonist had teamed up with Douglas Southall Freeman to do a one big book on Washington, or Thomas Flexner. It just seems so strange. It's going to be just a big illustrated version of Alexander Humboldt's trip to South America. Not his whole life, but I'm sure that all the biography stuff will be in here. This is from Pantheon Books. Wow, what an inventive thing. Okay, all right. Well, I didn't know what it was. Now I do. All right, so that's how we end things, with a hugely oversized and lavishly illustrated account of Alexander von Humboldt's trip to South America, where he meets crocodiles and jaguars and all sorts of things. So we have that. I don't even know what it is. I'll have to find room for it on the shelf. Then John Ward's Camelots End, about Carter versus Kennedy for the presidency. Then Assassin of Shadows by Lawrence Goldstone, political thriller 100 years ago. Deep Past by Eugene Linden. I will report back. Thinking Off Your Feet. Just in case you missed that subtitle, How Empirical Psychology Vindicates Armchair Philosophy. And The Assassin of Verona, the next William Shakespeare novel. So that is our mail for today. I'm still a little bit flabbergasted by this huge thing. I don't even know what to call it. It's a graphic novel, I guess. It's so big, though. What are bookstores going to do with it? Anyway, I'll find out myself. I'll go to the bookstore when it comes out, and I'll report back. So in the meantime, I will wrap this up. But I'll see you soon. Thank you, BookTube.